really sounds like very practical coaching. I believe in everything should be practical rather than theory. There are just way too many tabs, like too many knowledge things. And I used to have FOMO at some point. Oh, how many TED Talks listen? Then I was like, everybody's just saying the same thing. I need to imbibe and really get some things from someone who can understand what is the need.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's interesting too, because one of my old clients, she's like, I love the balance between challenging me and pushing my boundaries, and then also getting into the practical and the tactical, and
Absolutely.
like having the both. And because some coaches, it's just up here
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the space of the head and in the space of, and then I sometimes you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, and I totally agree that going from that theory to practical is where the success really comes and the outcomes can drive uh,
For sure,
people.
for
Yeah.
sure.
I do see there are like 25 people watching, but I don't know if this is for this session and how to get people in.
I think it is for
Moder-
this session. I think
Mm,
that they're watching and listening to us.
okay,
Oh, I see. And then if we want to invite somebody to actually jump on, we can invite
then
them
we can
to join the call. So
absolutely.
I think
So let's
anybody
get
who's,
started.
yeah, and anybody who's interested in hopping on to actually be part of the conversation, feel free at any point to chat and say, me, let
Yeah,
me be the one who joins the call. Yes, Ida, exactly. So if you want that, do that side of things. And then,
yeah,
uh,
absolutely. Would love to have. So yeah, let's get started and dive into like this super interesting topic. I welcome you all to this like topic, how to make time for your goals, which I think is super important for a successful career in life. And today I have Jamie Martin, who has been a tech leader and a life coach and a product coach who help people, women and men, and anyone who needs to grow in their career. And she's a practical coach. That's what I was discussing with her, who can help you break through in your career. So over to Jamie. Maybe I would love to know, Jamie, what motivated you, a little bit about your background to transition from a product leader to a coach now.
yeah, so I will tee that up a little bit more later. But one of the big things that we were just talking about before most people showed up was that I really love helping people, and I love
Okay.
supporting them in growing and breaking through their own things. And when I was in product, one of the things that drove me crazy was how often I was sitting there going, why are we building this thing? I know we could be doing something else that supports them, but the CEO or CTO were really set on getting this one client. And so I was like, I'd rather get in the place where I can do direct contact. And that's why I love coaching, because I get to be present with the people I'm working with.
I love that. So
Thank you.
let's dive into it.
Let's
I
start.
can't wait to, go to this slide. Yeah.
Awesome. So with this slide, does anybody ever feel like this? If you do, you are in the right place. Today is not about adding even more to your already full plate. It's about really re energizing and freeing you up to go after your goals. Seeing a lot of people say, yes,
Yes.
you
Yes.
are
Big
all
yes.
accomplished, right? And you are all smart. We know that. But I'm here to bring awareness and structure so that you can bring your gifts and your brilliance to the table and finally go after the goals that matter most to you. So this content is perfect for you if you are a professional who is ready to stop overthinking and own your career, or a leader who also knows you have bigger things you could be doing. So to do that, we're going to cover a few items. Number one, the most and overlooked factor to reaching your goals. Number two, we're going to do an exercise that will reveal a new perspective on time management. And three, we're going to take a look at the bigger picture of principles needed to achieve your goals. Now, before we dive in, let's cover a few housekeeping tips. Say no to multitasking. I know you have all been here for a day and a half, but multitasking is not physically possible. I had an old boss beat it in my head, because what happens when we switch tasks? We actually miss out on all the good stuff. And today, we are going to actually do a lot of the homework in class. So I'm going to give you time to do the analysis. So make sure you're paying attention so that you can get the most out of today's call and gain the clarity in order to move forward with your goals. Finally, I do have some time about halfway through for Q&A and discussion. So hold any of your questions until that point. We'll use the chat function as well as invite some people on for that. But I do want to hold questions until that point so that we can stay focused, because we only have 45 minutes. So great. Now that we have that out of the way, and I see that most of you know how to open your chat, but I'm going to have you open the chat, put your fingers
Actually,
on the
I
keyboard.
invited them, Jamie. I think they were in the bar before and just approved. Just
Yeah,
click that.
no,
Yeah.
go ahead and invite them in. But for the chat, we are going to use our chat here function for right now. I'm going to ask you a question in a second, and I want you in 10 words or less to type the first thing that comes to mind when I ask it. Now, I know you probably have 70 things on your to-do list today and 100 more in your mind, and yet you chose to be here. So why is this topic important to you? Put it in the chat. I need to get my life back. Avoiding burnout. I love the fact that you're trying to avoid burnout. Accomplish my goals, constantly achieving more. Wow, you guys are going so fast. Constantly overwhelmed. I never get ahead. Get things done. Focus on impactful things. I love it. The anxiety of the to-do list. Can't find time to learn new things. I'm opening more tabs before closing the old ones. I can relate to that one, but I love having my tabs open. We were just talking about that earlier. It gives me pleasure. Awesome. So a lot of this is things I can relate to. I've been there before. Everything I'm going to teach you today is built from my own experience. So imagine this. You are getting married and super excited about your wedding and honeymoon, when right before you are supposed to take off for your honeymoon, your boss proceeds to tell you that there is going to be a massive reorg that the 2 weeks you are gone. So that's what started the next 3 years of incredible overwhelm for me. I left that company and started at one that was hedging to be acquired, bought a house, got a promotion to lead the team as the vice president of product, and started infertility treatments. And I found myself literally dragging myself out of bed every single day. I was preparing myself to get beat down by whatever situation was coming my way. At the office, I was the punching bag. With infertility, I was the pincushion. And at home, I was the forgetful wife who, for the life of me, could never remember to defrost meat. Now, to be fair, my husband and I have now figured out a solution to that, so it's not as big of a deal as it was back then. But my goal was simple: get through the day. And I hated it. I absolutely hated living this way. Something had to give. So I started to ask myself one question: how do I want to live my life? And with that one question, I realized that I could make changes. I became clear on what was in my way. I got super supported and figured out how to overcome those obstacles and go after my dreams without sacrificing myself and my energy. The more I practiced this, the more it developed into a set of key principles that I use with my clients. It's the reason I continue to be able to create my life instead of letting overwhelm, overthinking, and doubt run it. It's also the reason my clients are looking at their careers in a completely new way and owning their lives in power. And this is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So because we are all such doers, I know that about product people, we're going to take some time to get really present right now. So I want you to take a moment to close your eyes, get really comfortable in your chair, feel your feet on the ground, wiggle your toes a little bit, roll your shoulders if that feels good, roll your head if that feels good. Now take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Imagine your goals and dreams for your life. See yourself achieving them. What does it feel like? Feel yourself smile in that moment when you've achieved it. Now take one more deep breath in and a nice slow breath out. And go ahead and open your eyes. So now that you are present to your goals and dreams, let's dive in. The most important and overlooked factor in changing your life and reaching your goals is having the courage to be honest with yourself. So think about it. When you aren't honest with yourself about what is stopping you from achieving your goals, achieving your dream life, nothing's going to work. It's like trying to convince yourself that you have a minor cut that a Band-Aid will take care of, when really you have a major wound that needs to be taken care of by a doctor. Or let's go the product route. We want to just fix a little bit of the application, but really we have to fix the infrastructure. We have to fix the database. We have to fix everything that's the foundation to the product. And yet all we want to do is put a Band-Aid on. So what holds you back from being honest with yourself about the goals you are not achieving? What holds you back from being honest about your time? And are you willing to be honest with yourself? So if your answer is no, you aren't ready to go after your dreams. Being honest with yourself is the key to unlocking the rest of what we are talking about today. So are you ready? Because next we are going to create a new perspective on time management and going after our goals. We are going to focus in on one of the 8 key principles today. Uncover. We are going to pinpoint the roadblock that's in the way of you going after your goals. So everybody take out a piece of paper or notepad on your computer, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this exercise. So it's time to get real and complain. When I say go, write out all of your complaints about your time and goals. What do you hate about it? Okay, ready, set, go. You've got another minute. Okay, so other people have the same amount of time as you do, people like Oprah or Michelle Obama. What makes them flounder, or what makes them achieve their goals while you flounder? Let them out a little. They address each of the reasons that stop people from following through on their goals. So there are a lot of reasons that we don't follow through on our goals, but the top 5 that I see most consistently are: you resist being supported and you don't practice boundaries, You don't know why you want this goal. You want everyone to be happy. So you go the extra mile for them, aka you people please. And you want everything to be perfect. So I'm going to give you a minute to look back at all of your complaints, and I want you to write down the reason next to the complaint that aligns the most. Yeah, Stephanie, even though Oprah hasn't done grocery shopping in a while, she started from ground zero. So I want us to remember that both Oprah and Michelle Obama started from ground zero, the same exact place that all of us are at. And they've still achieved a lot in their life. So go ahead and write down the reason to the complaint that aligns the most. Awesome. So we don't have a ton of time to go in all of these reasons, but, and I'm seeing this a little bit already showing up, that as product people, we often feel the need to have everything be perfect. So we're going to dive into that one today. Now know that this is something that you can look at in deeper depth with the other ones, but we're going to start here. So I want you to imagine the last time you felt you had to be perfect. Pull that moment up. Now, what had you scared about being imperfect? Spend a minute to write down what comes up for you. What had you being scared about being imperfect? Okay, now look at your answer and remember we are being honest with ourselves today. What underlying belief are you telling yourself with this reason? Yep. So imposter syndrome, I want you to go a little further down. What is it about imposter syndrome? What is it about judgment? Natalia, I love that, people thinking that I'm stupid. Your self-worth is attached to work. Okay. So I'm going to invite a few people up to join me on stage. So if you want to share verbally what surprised you, what you learned, or if you have questions in particular about what just showed up for you, let's dive into that. So let's see. If you would like to join, raise your hand and I'll pull you up to the stage. Does anybody want to share live? Elisa, do you want to join us and share a little bit more about the ambition side? And not wanting to be left alone? Okay. I'm going to try to invite a few people up to stage. So if you guys want to join, let me know. In the meantime, the question, the previous question, I think was what was asked, was what underlying belief are you telling yourself with this reason? And the reason around not being able to relate to feedback. Alicia requested approval. Let's see. Huh. I'm not sure what happened and why I can't get you all to join. So I'm going to dive in.
Hi.
Oh, hold on. Sweet. Do you want to join, and can you pronounce your name for me so I don't butcher it?
Toby.
A
So the last four. Yeah, it's Olua Toby.
Toby. Okay.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, you tried.
I
Yeah,
did try.
Olua Toby. Yes, you did. Thank you.
So for you, what would you say what's your underlying belief around the fear of being imperfect?
I think previous experiences of being punished um for not doing something that as expected, or the certain way that the person in authority wanted it, as subconsciously like made me um anxious, or um more agitated towards wanting to be perfect than waiting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now you relate to that experience and say, oh, wait a second, now I have to always be perfect because I'm going to get punished. Yeah. What was the punishment like for you?
It varied. At work, it could have at work, it was more about like a promotion conversation that all of a sudden just like disappeared off the table. Personally, like withdrawal of affection.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
So what I'm hearing is a little bit of, as you were moving forward and, being like everybody else, not perfect, things were getting withdrawn from you. Opportunities were being taken away. And so now we have to lean into the perfection.
Yeah.
So if you take a step back and say to yourself, do I need their permission to have other opportunities show up or receive affection? What would be different?
Um, Actually, no. If I really like think about it, I do not necessarily need I don't need not necessarily. I do not actually need the opportunity for something else to show up, for other opportunities to show up. What would be different would be me letting go of like that experience, or the impact of the experience, to be able to like pursue um the new opportunities, while keeping lessons from those experiences as well.
Yeah. So I'm hearing a lot of letting go, a lot of saying that experience doesn't have to define me. And yet I can choose what I'm going to learn and take with me. So that's going to be your homework. Because I want you to really look at those experiences and say, hey, how am I going to let go of these? And what are the things I actually want to take with me instead of the lesson that I have to be perfect?
Yeah.
Awesome. Miana, is that how you say your name? Did you want to share with us today?
Hey, this is Meena.
Mina. Awesome. Thank you for correcting me.
That's fine. So my reason for being scared is I was laid off in 2020 during peak COVID period. So that affected my conversations with my colleagues or my team. So I always have the need that I should be in every conversation that happens relating to my product. So I've got feedback saying that you should trust others and all that, but I still feel I'm not, if I'm not there in the conversation contributing to it, they might forget about me and there's another layoff that's likely going to happen, especially this year.
Yeah. So for you, what I'm hearing is perfection is being in all of the nuances to ensure that you're seen.
Yeah, everything about my product, every conversation that happens, and sometimes in Slack there are like 50 different conversations that might happen.
Yeah. And so when
And
we are
yeah,
in all of
getting
those
overwhelmed.
conversations, we're in a place of trying to control what's going on. And I love the question that you were asked, which is, what do you need in order to lean into trust? And it's not just trusting your team, because I think you already trust your team. You correct me if
Yeah,
I'm
I
wrong.
trust my team that they will make good decisions, but it's just that I'm always now worried that if I'm not contributing to it, then they might think, why do I even need you? I can make decisions on my own, right? Basically, being forgotten and irrelevant. So
Yeah.
that's fear
And
of.
so what's the distinction for you as to where you need to be present and where you trust them, right? Because there's a line between what we can have other people, your team, your engineers, what they can run with, and what they actually need you to decide. So I think that you tell me if that makes sense, is to start to lean into that first and say,
Understand.
oh, what is that distinction for me?
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how much should I be there versus give control to others?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's less about how much and more about the what. What decisions can they be driving? What
Yeah.
decisions should you be driving? Which conversation should you attend? Right. And that's what we really want to dive into, is figuring out at what point is it your responsibility versus their responsibility. And then leaning into where else is this fear of trusting coming in, and how do we start to break that cycle? So how are you in interacting with the people who control the purse strings when it comes to layoffs? Because that's where you need to start to showcase, like, hey, to your boss, this is what's going on. Is that helpful?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it. When there's trust, there is less pressure to achieve perfection. That's beautiful. Yep. And there's nothing worse than being a micromanager. If anybody would like to try to join and also dive into this more verbally, please join in. If I missed something in the chat that you would like to cover, please go ahead and quickly retype it so that I can dive into that a little bit further. Okay, so Ariane, for whatever reason, even a friendly, trusted audience doesn't relieve the pressure to perform perfectly. Now, my question for you is, do you trust yourself? Yeah, that's where we need to look. Because there's two sides to the coin of trust: trusting ourselves and trusting others. And so we have to look at both sides to understand that piece, right? And when we can start to unpack and uncover for ourselves, oh, I don't trust myself, or I don't trust others, we can start to dive further. Also, when it comes to the other bucket, I like to go one step further with that, because it's not always the bucket where we don't trust. Sometimes it's one character in the bucket who's influencing the rest. And so the more we can distill down where our trust is breaking apart, the more we're able to actually build it and focus on it. Now, one thing that, as we've been talking, I think is really important as a next step for all of you, is understanding what our definition of success is. Because when we start to understand our definition of success, we can start to let go of perfection. We can start to understand what trust looks like. So let's do this. I actually have a tool that I can use, that you can use to help you dive into success and your definition. So send me an email right now. I'm going to type my email address in here if you want this tool on success. And this is a great example of doing your homework now. So if you send me an email with a subject line smile, because I know you're going to be smiling after you achieve all your goals, I will send you this exercise on success. It will be a great way to start to anchor down into what's important to you. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Oh, have to overcome and explain a lot. Yeah, that's one of those where we're going to have to start creating an awareness, Sarah. Every time you're in that spot, take a moment, pause, and just start to build that awareness that you're over explaining. Okay, so let's dive into understanding our underlying beliefs and how this can make a difference in our lives. One of my clients, Sayanika, is a great example. She was looking to launch her own coaching business, move to another country, get certified in Ayurveda, and find love when we started working together, all while working a full-time job as a project manager. So she's actually the perfect example of a waterfall project manager. She creates beautiful plans with all the steps to get to her dreams, with all the milestones along the way. We would actually hate her as a PM because she would have it all laid out and we would all sit there and go, what? But then she stumbles. She hesitates in taking action and finds herself constantly in creating the perfect plan for achieving her dreams. Two things really got in her way. One, she believed she had to be an expert in all of the areas that she wanted to share in the world. She wasn't being honest with herself about the timeline she set and why she was holding it, even though she was not achieving those goals. So as we worked together, she made a few major realizations. She was holding out for a role model to emulate before she served the women she wanted to serve, ambitious, single Indian immigrant working women. She was afraid to change her timeline for moving to another country. Why? Because she was afraid of what others would think, even though we were in the middle of the COVID pandemic. So once we were able to dig these two things up for her, things really started to shift. She started serving the women she wanted to serve the most by creating an 8-week coaching program for them. She chose to become the role model she desired when she came to America. She now has a growing community that she serves. She also realized that there was no timeline but her own, and she could change it at any point. So this really allowed her to release that pressure she was putting on herself to achieve things in a specific time frame. And guess what? Less than a year after her original timeline, she had moved to Canada. She's in the exact time and space she needed to make it happen. So to keep moving towards your goals, when you find yourself floundering in achieving them, here's the question I asked myself, I asked Sanika, and I encourage you to ask. What am I avoiding? Yes, it really means digging deep and being honest with yourself and going deep. But if diving deep into your belief system is what is going to break these patterns and get you to your goals, are you willing to dive deep? What do you need to put in place in order to continue to challenge yourself to go deep? So now that we have identified some of the ways you resist creating your goals and thoughts about ways to move past them, let's take a look at the bigger picture of what you need to do if you want to be successful in finding times to go after your goals. So I'm going to define each of the 8 essential elements. We're going to keep this really simple. I recommend you write down the element, and then you will assess how clearly defined it is in your life on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is low and 10 is high. Now, don't overthink this. This is a simple assessment to understand where you are right now. Because there are things that are working great in your life, and there are things that you need to go up a notch on. So you're going to discover which is which right now. Discover. So when you know your goals and the why behind them, you know you are going after goals that are aligned with your overall purpose in life. It gives you courage and confidence to put yourself out there. Are you clear about the goals that truly matter to you the most on a scale of 1 to 10? Focus. What goal or goals are you going to go after first? What are the key milestones for achieving those goals? What are the actions to achieving your goals? Having this in place allows you to move forward without feeling like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall. On a scale of 1 to 10, do you know what your priorities are for your goals? Next is imagine. What will life look like after you have achieved your goals? How will you feel? What will be in your life that wasn't before? Having this image is an anchor that connects you towards your goals. How are you doing imagining what life will be like when you have reached your goals on a scale of 1 to 10? Uncover. So the exercise we did today is the start of uncovering what is standing in your way of your goals. What other roadblocks are you creating that are stopping you from achieving your goals? What thoughts are unhelpful? What beliefs are holding you back? On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in uncovering these roadblocks as you move towards your goals? The next one's reinvent. So when you see other people less talented than you and are asking yourself, how are they achieving their goals and still taking all these vacations? It's because they are working on doing this and the next one. They are taking those old beliefs that they've created an awareness on and creating new beliefs. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing making peace with your unhelpful thoughts and reinventing those thoughts and beliefs that are holding you back? How are you at building new thoughts and beliefs that serve you better? Next is practice. So when you pair reinvent with practice, this is where the magic really starts to happen. What are the practices you are taking on in order to take those new thoughts and beliefs and actually embed them into your being? Remembering to let go of the old beliefs and lean into the new ones. How are you with sticking with those practices? So action, this is actually the one we think of first when we go after our goals. That first step, the first week, the first month. How are you at taking action with the first step, the fifth step, and all of the steps beyond? On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you at holding yourself accountable to continuing to take steps towards your goals? Finally, but not least, celebrate. So each step of the way, you celebrate your actions, your progress, even when you intentionally give yourself a break, like a nap. How are you at celebrating when you have reached your goals? How are you at celebrating each milestone and step along the way? So now you know where to focus your efforts. You have ideas of where you can change your results. So let's talk about how to create some lasting impact. So what's next for you? What is one bite-sized action you will take from what you learned today? This is something you will do in the next week. I want you to write it down where you know you will see it and be inspired to take action. I'm going to give you a second to do that. Now, bite-sized is great, but let's imagine something bigger. Go ahead and put your pen down again and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and a nice slow breath out. I'd like you to imagine creating your future from a place fully connected to you, your heart, and your brilliance. You have the time and space to go after your goals. Each day, you know the path you are taking. You know what steps to take and are able to take them with confidence, consistency, and ease. You start to see progress towards your goals, and it feels effortless. You're confident that what was once a dream goal is now becoming a reality, and you didn't have to sacrifice yourself or other priorities in your life to achieve it. In fact, you have more time to take care of yourself, to fill your cup and regenerate on a consistent basis. Your life takes on a new pace that you embrace with open arms as you continue to move towards your dreams and achieving your goals. Now go ahead and take another deep breath in and a nice slow breath out, and open your eyes. So you're probably feeling inspired right now. If you don't currently have 10s across the board, you're probably doubting that this vision is even possible. So what is your plan to get everything to a 10 so that a year from now, you aren't back in the seat asking yourself, how do I go after my goals? Once you have that plan, there's one more thing. The people in our lives like to keep you operating in the way you are right now. So when you start to try to make these changes, people are going to push back on you. They want you to stay where you are today. Especially all of us people pleasers and perfectionists. They want us to continue to be perfect. So who is the support system that you have so that you don't feel that same doubt and worry a year from now and aren't still looking at your goals and wondering when? If you don't have a clear plan that is 10s across the board plan, or a support system that will stand for you to break these ingrained patterns, I'm happy to get on a discovery call with you to talk through it. We'll dive deep into your goals and what is stopping you from achieving them. We will look at where the holes, blind spots, and opportunities are, and then explore solutions to help you reach your goals faster and confidently. So this is my discovery call, and it is complimentary. But before I give you the link to my calendar, I have 2 criteria to qualify for the call. 1, be open to being challenged. And 2, being willing to consider investing in yourself if we both see that working together will give you what you want to stop self-doubt and overthinking and actually achieve the goals you have in your life. So you just simply go to jmartindiscoverycall.co and get scheduled. And if you're thinking, great, I'll just jot this down and do it later, I encourage you again to do your homework in class today and schedule now so that all this clarity and good intention doesn't get lost in the shuffle. And I'm going to wrap this up with one last story for all of you. I was in a different place just 6 years ago. I was exhausted, beaten down, and scared. I was a shell of myself. I woke up one day thinking, what am I doing? I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to type, somebody asked her. I can't do this anymore. So I can't do both at this point. I woke up one day and thinking, what was I doing? I couldn't do it anymore. And so I actually dragged myself to a meeting very similar to this one. When I heard a speaker say with one sentence, and I realized I was being kicked to change my life. I was not my circumstances. I had the opportunity and power to change my career and life. And in that moment, I made a choice to step into my voice, my vision, and my whole being. And here's the quote. I am responsible for every result in my life. If I want different results, I have to change my thoughts and actions. So I hope today I've not only inspired you to see the next level of what is possible, but also equipped you better to make the next level a reality. Thank you, everyone.